So as many of you guys know, Ken Carson has been teasing 2 new projects on the way. We obviously know one, the new album is going to be called The Experiment, alongside the second project being Lost Files 5, being the 5th installment of the Lost Files series, which we haven't seen for a very big minute. I'd say the last time we've seen something from the Lost Files series was around like 2023, but we got 2 new projects on the way, Lost Files 5 alongside The Experiment. And a lot of people wanted to know what's going to be first, alongside when we could see one of them drop, and we finally got the word as of today via Ken Carson on Twitter. He teased a pumpkin on his Twitter. You know what that means. Ken Carson just confirmed that he's dropping on Halloween, but now what everybody wants to know is what is Ken Carson going to be dropping on Halloween. So let's get into it. So like I said earlier, everybody wants to know, when is Ken Carson going to be dropping the first project, right? Because we know that 2 is on the way, right? The first one being the new album. He announced this on June 4th. Ken Carson reveals new album name. Obviously this is going to be called The Experiment, which draws a lot of questions from a lot of the fans as to what the hell does that even mean, right? Because that's a pretty bold name to name your project The Experiment. And like I said in one of my previous videos, I'll link it right here, we truly have never really seen Ken Carson experiment, or at least what a lot of people deem as experimentation, right? Ken Carson's always pretty much gave you like the same thing, but it's always been like leveled up, more polished, just like better from the last project, right? So we really haven't seen what true experimentation from Ken Carson is. So that's why a lot of people are very curious with this whole album. I'll link the video in the top right here. Y'all can watch that because we went into full detail on that, right? So we obviously know 1, the first album is gonna be called The Experiment. Then 2, he said this on July 30th. Ken Carson teases Lost Files soon. He said this, he quoted this on Twitter right here. This account on Twitter said, at Ken Carson, drop a Lost Files before The Experiment for us, please. And then obviously Ken Carson said this, right? So we got 2 projects on the way alongside in Ken Carson's bio. I'll link the picture right here. He said like 5 or like experimenting, hinting at this one alongside this, right? So Ken's working on 2 projects. We got 2 on the way. What is going to be the first one? And I'm pretty sure we all know what the first one is going to be. Obviously Lost Files 5 seems to be the first one in line. It only really makes sense, and that's really what Ken Carson does for the Lost Files series, right? He usually drops Lost Files, a couple months out from the actual album, and I don't really even think an album is needed from Ken Carson right now this year. I just don't think it's needed whatsoever, right? He dropped More Chaos all the way in April. More Chaos is performing pretty well. He's doing it on the tour. They're obviously in the middle of the Antagonist tour, so a whole new album on Halloween. When is Halloween? Like in 2 weeks? Yeah, in 2 weeks is really not needed. I think this is the perfect time for a Lost Files 5 series from Ken Carson, right? So that's what I'm pretty much in like the majority of like the whole Ken Carson fan base is pretty much expecting this Halloween tweet from Ken Carson to be, right? We all expect this to be pointed towards Lost Files 5. Now, it could not be Lost Files 5. It could simply just be like a music video. It could be that, right? But we know that Ken Carson is dropping something 1000% on Halloween. What we know, we really don't know as of yet, right? But we do know that Ken Carson will be headlining Complex Con. I believe that's next week? Yeah, next week Ken Carson's gonna be doing Complex Con in Vegas, and Complex Con actually asked Ken, like, yo Ken, what are you gonna be performing at the show? Ken Carson said unreleased, and this was all the way back, August 20. He said unreleased on the way at Complex Con, which is next week, which is the last weekend, yeah, 1 weekend prior towards Halloween. I personally think that would be the perfect play at Complex Con. And what I want to know is how many songs is Lost Files 5 going to be, right? Because we've been seeing Ken Carson, he's been teasing a lot of stuff on his story, right? We've seen this, this was October 3rd. Ken Carson went on a story and obviously co-signed 4 of the snippets that he previewed the other day. Those being these 4 right here. The first one is Truth. These were all hard too. These were all really hard. That's this one. I don't want to play the full ones because I don't want to get copyrighted. Y'all know how that gets. But that was Truth, Amnesia. They all sound really good. Boom, that's that. Amnesia, EDM. That's that one right there, EDM, alongside the last one, Everybody. And honestly, these fit the sound of like a Lost Files series. I don't know why. This really reminds me of X Games. Y'all know that. Then y'all know that. But that's this one right here. So he co-signed 4 of those snippets on his Instagram the other day. And then he did something else the other day as well right here. He said Ken Carson's this one right here. Let me see. I believe it's this snippet. Margella. This one. So Margella alongside this, Stars. This one's hard. So far, Ken Carson has co-signed 6 official snippets that he previewed himself and that he reposted on his IG, right, from the fan pages. So these could potentially be 6 songs that we can see on, you know, Lost Files 5, which I do think is perfect. And I was trying to find the screenshot before this video, but I couldn't find it. I know he also previewed Pint of Red, and he co-signed that on his story. So, and that's, y'all know, that's my grill. Pint of Red is my grill. So hopefully we could see Pint of Red alongside like maybe 2 others, but 6 plus Pint of Red, that's like 7 songs. Maybe he goes like 8 to 10 songs for Lost Files 5 on SoundCloud on Halloween. That is going to be perfect. And Ken Carson obviously keeps the tradition alive for a Halloween release. I know that in 2022 he dropped Extended on Halloween. 2023, I don't think he dropped anything on Halloween, but we obviously know on October 13th, Friday the 13th, AGC did release in 2023. And then last year we did receive Delusional on Halloween. So 2025, he's going 4 years strong. Shout out Ken Carson. New Ken Carson music on Halloween. What could it be? We really don't know, but I do think a lot of us are expecting that to be Lost Files 5. Now, I wonder if he's gonna add those songs on the set list for the tour, because I do know a lot of people aren't really the biggest fans of Ken Carson's set list for the tour. A lot of people have been complaining about Ken's set list on the tour, right? It's Lord of Chaos, it's Black Rockstar, Money Spread, right? He does only 5 songs off More Chaos, 10 AGC, which a lot of people are like, yo, we've been seeing AGC a million times. We all want to see the new album live, like Evolution, Inferno, Dismantle. That's the one I want to see. That's my favorite song on More Chaos. So a lot of people were like, yo, he needs to switch up the set list, right? Because if you've seen Ken, you know, like prior before the tour at like some of these festivals, then it's pretty much the same thing, obviously, with the 5 new More Chaos songs. So maybe he does perform and switch it up, adding these new Lost Files 5 on the tour. That would be really, really fire. We will see when Halloween does go down. What? Halloween is what? Officially like less than 2 weeks away. So new Ken Carson music officially 2 weeks away, which is going to be very, very good. If it's Lost Files 5, he's already confirmed what? About like 6 to like 8 snippets so far. So I wonder how many tracks Lost Files 5 is going to be. I'm thinking about like maybe 8 to 10ish. I think that's perfect. Throw it on SoundCloud. Let the fans eat while you're on tour. Hopefully perform them on the tour as well. But that's pretty much everything we know about Ken Carson's new tweet that he did post and delete earlier today, about 2 hours ago. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Also, let me know what grills you would like to see if this is Lost Files 5. If you guys like this video, like, comment, share, and subscribe. Somebody may is it, and I'm out. Thank you guys.